With 3 games remaining in the season for the Boston Bruins, here are 5 things that we would love to see.
You're Locked On Bruins, your daily podcast on the Boston Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Bruins fans, and welcome back to the Locked On Boston Bruins podcast. I'm your host, Ian McLaren, and this is a daily show where we discuss all things Spoked B. Today is Thursday, April 10th, and I want to thank you so much for making Locked On Bruins your first listen every day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, and everydayers will know that we talk about our favorite hockey team here every single day, and that the best place to subscribe is on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. You can also follow along on social media at Locked NHL Bruins. And you can find me, my hockey thoughts, dad jokes, at Ian C. McLaren. I am a lifelong Boston Bruins fan. I've been covering this team for various outlets for 20 years. I was a full-time hockey news writer at thescore.com for 5 years and have been hosting this podcast since 2019. The Bruins will miss the playoffs for the first time in that stretch, and with only 3 games remaining on the regular season schedule, I thought let's take the opportunity today to break down some things we want to see from this team before the final buzzer and as we get ready for a longer than expected offseason. The first thing I want to see is David Pastrnak eclipsing his previous career high in assists. Last year, he had 63 assists for the Boston Bruins. He's already eclipsed 100 points this season. He has, 8 assists over his last 4 games, and he's only 4 shy of the career high that he set last year when he had 47 goals, 63 assists for 110 points. Right now, he's got 41 goals, 59 assists for an even 100 points. And if he could get that assist total up to 64, that would be great for him to set a new career high in assists. And that's I don't want to say underrated part of David Pastrnak's game, but it's certainly something that perhaps is taken for granted. We all know he is an elite goal scorer. He has hit 40 goals for the 5th time in his career, fourth straight season that he's had at least 40 goals. The season prior to that, he had 20, but that was in 48 games due to the COVID shortened season. Prior to that, he had 48, 38, 35, 34. We all know he can score with the best of them, but this assist total is something that is somewhat new to his game. Again, he had 63 last year, 52 the year before, but he often had more goals than assists in recent years, and that's now switched a bit, where he's become quite an elite playmaker, and much to the benefit of his Bruins teammates. We've seen how Elias Lindholm has scored a bit more lately after having been bumped up to the top line. Morgan Geekie, of course, with the 30 goals this season, which is a career high. And that is in large part due to David Pastrnak playing with Geekie and elevating his game. There are concerns, of course, about Geekie's elevated shooting percentage, but maybe Pasta is just that good and he can get the puck right on his stick for those high-end chances. At 5-on-5, I mentioned yesterday, David Pastrnak leads the NHL in points and primary assists. Just an elite playmaker, point getter. He will be outside the top 3 when it comes to scoring, but he should still get some love as a Hart Trophy candidate. Now, So that's one thing I'd love to see. I'd love to see him get to 64 assists, so 5 more in 3 games. Certainly doable when you're playing the Penguins, the Blackhawks tonight, a game we'll preview later on, and the New Jersey Devils, a team that just scored 7 goals on the other night. Something else I'd love to see would be Fabian Lysell getting his first career goal. We saw him get his first assist the other night on a Casey Mittelstadt goal. It would be great to see him finally hit the scoreboard and get a goal of his own. He does have, how many shots does he have at the moment? In the 9 games that he's played, he does have 14 shots, so a bit less than 2 per game, maybe like 1.5 per game. And he has had some trouble gaining the zone, establishing a presence in the offensive zone. He on the ice right now, he's kind of below 50% when it comes to shot attempt differential, shot differential, but he did show a lot of promise in the last game, especially against the New Jersey Devils. He did have that assist. He was making things happen out there. And I've said it many times, it's far too early to give up on the first overall pick from a few years ago. Only 9 games of NHL experience. That's really nothing. For forwards at the NHL level, it takes about 200 games for players to reach their breakout threshold. That's according to Dauber Hockey, who I trust very much. And 9 games is really nothing when it comes to trying to establish yourself as an NHL player. You need like 2.5 full seasons to really establish whether or not a player can become what is expected of him. We all know his skill set. We all know his speed. We all know his ability to snipe. Yes, the physicality isn't there. Perhaps he needs to add a bit more size. But in terms of skill, he is all there. And way too early to say that a guy who was drafted 21st overall just 4 years ago, still only 22 years of age, just turned 22 in January. Still a lot left to see from Fabian Lysell. Hopefully this experience late in this season will give him some confidence to come into training camp and establish himself as a top 6 or at least top 9 winger for this team next season, because they could really use that production from him on the last year of his entry-level contract and really figure out where he fits in moving forward. So finish out the season, probably get hopefully a good long run with Providence in the Calder Cup playoffs. But I would love to see Lysell get on the scoreboard here in the last 3 games. I think that would really boost his confidence and give us as fans more to believe in for him moving forward. There's a few more things I'd love to see from the Bruins over the final 3 games of the regular season, and we'll touch on that here as the podcast continues.
Do you have trouble sleeping? If so, you're not alone. That used to be me, lacking rest, tossing and turning. I was late for meetings. I never felt like myself. That's until I found Bare Mattress. Bare Mattress and their sleep recovery technology helped me fall asleep faster, as well as enjoy deeper sleeps. I felt like myself again, and you can too. Bare Mattress knows that every sleeper is different. That's why they have their sleep quiz on their website that finds you your perfect match. As a side sleeper, I matched with the Elite Hybrid mattress, and I've been telling everyone in my life they have to try Bare Mattress risk-free. You can sleep on your Bare Mattress up to 120 nights, and if you're not getting the best sleep of your life, you can get it refunded. They'll pick it up with absolutely no hassle. So go to bearmattress.com and use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL at checkout to get 40% off site-wide. This offer is not available anywhere else. You have to use my promo code on the very last page of checkout to get this discount. That's bearmattress.com. Use my promo code LOCKEDONNHL for 40% off site-wide. Bearmattress.com, promo code LOCKEDONNHL.
Hey, thank you so much once again for making Locked On Bruins part of your day. Everydayers will know new episode drops on your favorite podcast app and on YouTube. All you have to do is subscribe so that you never miss a thing. Now, David Pastrnak setting a new career high for assists. Fabian Lysell scoring his first goal. Those are a couple of things that I would love to see here for the Boston Bruins. Another is Casey Mittelstadt. I would love to see him explode a bit more here offensively over the next few games. He's a key guy, I think, for this team moving forward. He's 26. He's going to turn 27 in November. He was the 8th overall pick in 2017. He's on a 2-game goal streak for the Bruins. 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points in 15 games. I think he has another level to hit with this team. And with Pavel Zacha being bumped off the top line for the time being, Mittelstadt and Zacha both have an opportunity to center the second line for this team moving forward. And we'll see who emerges here, not only over the last few games, but also when it comes to training camp and the preseason next year. That's another question I have, really, is where will Zacha fit in here moving forward? If indeed they stick with Lindholm playing alongside David Pastrnak, Pavel Zacha is going to have to find a new home. Right now, he has been playing with Mittelstadt and Lysell. Could he center the third line moving forward? That is currently occupied by Fraser Minton playing with Husey and Vinny Lettieri, Cole Koepke, John Beecher, Jacob Lauko on the fourth line. I would love to see some chemistry develop between Mittelstadt and Zacha so that you could potentially have some building blocks for the top 6 moving forward. If you have Lindholm playing with Pastrnak effectively, you can get value out of that contract that Lindholm signed last summer, and also be able to see if Zacha Mittelstadt could hit. That's some good building blocks for the future to build around. If you resign Geeky, if Lysell can hit, then maybe you have your top 6 flushed out, unless, of course, the Bruins can convince a Mitch Marner or a Nikolai Ehlers or a Brock Besser to sign in the offseason, which would obviously help the depth of this team moving forward. So I'd love to see Mittelstadt keep the offense rolling, finish strong, 2 goals in the past 2 games, and Pavel Zacha perhaps find some chemistry with his new line mate so that the Bruins can know that they have a couple good pairings, at least in the top 6, to build around. If you could add someone on the right side with Mittelstadt and Zacha, obviously that would help and ease the pressure off Lysell, who might be more suited for a third line scoring role right now with some more defensively responsible players. Who knows? Maybe a Husey, Minton, Lysell line that could be pretty dynamic for this team here beginning in the fall. So those are some things I'd like to see. The other thing would be, we were promised offensive magic by Nikita Zadorov in the offseason. Everydayers might recall I had Thomas Drance on the podcast last summer. He's an old friend from the Score. I worked with him there for a little bit. And he said that Zadorov was one of his favorite players in the NHL, period. And that he had 1 or 2 kind of Orr-esque rushes in him each year where he just takes the puck, barrels through the neutral zone into the offensive zone, and goes kind of backhand shelf on a goalie for just an unexpected goal. I would love to see that out of the big guy. Now, the fifth and final thing that I want to see from the Bruins here, it would be fun to end with some wins, But let's be honest. Boston finishing with the best possible draft pick would be the ultimate goal. And thanks to a Philly win last night over the New York Rangers, the Bruins do sit in the 4 hole at the moment, 9 points up on Nashville. So there's no chance of jumping into the top 3. But right now they have 73 points, which is tied with Philadelphia. But the Bruins have a worse point percentage because Philly's played 1 fewer game. The Bruins are also 1 point back of Seattle, 3 points back of Pittsburgh and Buffalo, 5 points back of Anaheim. So if they win all 3 of their games, they could max out at 79 points, and they would need a bunch of other teams to lose in order to maintain their 4 spot. Thankfully, a team like Buffalo, they've won 5 in a row, 8-2 over their past 10. They've dropped to the 8th spot. The Bruins play Chicago tonight. We'll preview that in a moment. Pittsburgh and then New Jersey. So they are 3 winnable games based on where other teams sit in the standings and how Boston just beat up on New Jersey the other night. But right now, they're in that 4 spot, and the current odds are 9.5 of getting either first or second. So that's a 19% chance of finishing in the top 2. 15.4% chance of getting the 4th overall pick, 44.6% chance of getting the 5th overall pick, and a 20% chance of getting the 6th overall pick. So the odds for the Bruins, the top odds are 5th, which would not be great. The average right now is 4.4, and that's running the tankathon. Let's just give this a couple sims here to see what happens. First running, Bruins drop to 6th. Anaheim jumps up 8 spots to 1st. Second running, exact same. How is that even possible? Next, we have the Flyers moving up 4 spots to 1st. Boston dropping to 5th. So right now we have 6th, 5th. I ran it one more time. We get 4th. And the last time, I'll run it here. The Bruins jump up to 1st overall pick, with Philadelphia jumping up to the 2nd overall pick. That, of course, would be ideal. We would love to see the Bruins get the best available player, ideally a guy who can play down the middle and who can come into the NHL sooner than later. So those are my 5 hopes for the final 3 games of the regular season. Some good showings from individuals, perhaps some pairings, a memorable Zadorov moment, but also maybe not picking up too many points here so that the Bruins can get the highest possible draft pick. They do play the Chicago Blackhawks tonight, and that is a game we'll preview here as the podcast continues. If you are looking for a snack that is both nutritious and delicious, you can crack into a good source of protein right now with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help keep you feeling fuller longer. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's the perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. But if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Get snacking, get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. So as I say, the Bruins are 4th worst in the NHL. One of the only teams that is worse this season is the Chicago Blackhawks. They, of course, recently won the NHL draft lottery and picked Connor Bedard 1st overall in 2023, and yet they remain one of the NHL's worst teams. It's kind of a warning against going full-on rebuild. When you have a guy like David Pastrnak in his prime, as well as Charlie McAvoy when healthy and Jeremy Swayman when on his game, that's a pretty good core to build around. That's the kind of core that teams are really looking for. The Bruins are still much better than Chicago this season. They've got only 54 points. They do feature a bunch of former Bruins, including Pat Maroon. If you are on Instagram, you might have seen David Pastrnak hand Big Rig cake last night. Pat Maroon has announced that he will be hanging up the skates. Very nice touch there by Pastrnak, and really carrying on the torch of leadership in that team, appreciating players who have come before, and dare I say, a very captainly move here by David Pastrnak. Now, the Bruins come into this one with a record of 2-8 over their past 10. The Blackhawks, not much better. They're 2-7-1 over their past 10, coming off a loss to Pittsburgh. After beating Pittsburgh, their other win over the past 10 came against Philadelphia. The Bruins had lost 10 in a row, but they've won 2 of their past 3, including wins over Carolina and the New Jersey Devils. Now, believe it or not, the Blackhawks actually have pretty decent special teams. They're 10th ranked power play, 13th ranked penalty kill. The Bruins power play is 29th. Think of how much more explosive Pastrnak would be this season if they were even moderately successful on the power play. The Bruins penalty kill is also ranked 22nd. It's offensively and defensively where both of these teams struggle. Very similar inept offenses. Bruins have averaged 2.68 goals per game this season. Blackhawks ever so slightly behind at 2.67. The Bruins marginally better defensively. They've allowed 3.29 goals per game, with the Blackhawks allowing 3.59, which is 31st ranked in the NHL. Now, there's a bunch of familiar faces we'll see tonight in action for the Blackhawks. Ryan Donato, second on the team in scoring, 1 point behind Connor Bedard. Tyler Bertuzzi has 21 goals, 21 assists for the Blackhawks this season. Nick Foligno, the captain, 31 points. Pat Maroon, I've already mentioned. Taylor Hall, of course, was in the mix, but he has since been traded to the Carolina Hurricanes. They also have a new goalie in the mix, Spencer Knight, which acquired from the Panthers in the Seth Jones trade. He could be a net, and that would give them a bit of an advantage because he has better numbers this season than both Jeremy Swayman and Joonas Korpisalo. Swayman still at .895 save percentage. Probably not going to get it over 900 at this point. They are led in scoring, the Blackhawks are, by rookie Frank Nazar. He's got 4 points over the past 5 games. Ilya Mikheyev with 3 goals, Bedard with 3 assists to lead each of those categories over the past 5. It's been all Pastrnak for the Bruins over their last 5 games. He's got 14 points, 8 assists, 6 goals, just completely on fire at the moment. The second and final meeting between these two teams, Boston won the first game by a score of 4-2 back on December 4th. Different time. Brad Marchand scoring 2 goals in that one, as well as Morgan Geekie. And, of course, a very different look for the Bruins this time around. On tomorrow's episode, we will recap the storylines, stats, and signals to take away from tonight's game. We'll preview Saturday's game against or is it Sunday they play next? Against the Pittsburgh Penguins. We'll bring you all the latest on the black and gold here on Locked On Boston Bruins, because that's what we're all about here on the Locked On Podcast Network, breaking down your favorite team every single day. The Bruins indeed will be off until Sunday, so I'll still preview the Penguins game and bring you all the latest here. Please do check out the Locked On NHL Game Night podcast next. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find NHL Game Night on the Locked On NHL channel on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Take care of yourselves, friends. Take care of each other. And we'll talk to you again here on the next episode of Locked On Boston Bruins.